Necrit is a liar. And to paraphrase Necrit, if you want to create videos about League of Legends and keep a healthy business relationship with Riot, I'm right behind you. But maybe, don't push false narratives or sell further lies of monetary gain. How about that, Necrit? 8 months ago, Necrit posted this video here, and he presented information which was irrelevant and had no context, where Riot was overselling Vanguard, which to me seems weird. And just to preface this, I have deep respect now for the person responsible for Vanguard, and I don't think he's doing anything wrong, and I highly support Vanguard. So I have no problem with Vanguard. What I do have a problem with is Necrit falsely presenting information and presenting things and not being critical of anything just to appease Riot as much as possible. So because of his inability of being critical and questioning the things that is being presented to him, which anyone with any knowledge of League of Legends would be capable of identifying, I had to do it. And the result of that is, as you can see here, Mirage of Penguins in my chat agrees. It doesn't have that much to do with cheating. I agree with you there. Right? We had a long discussion about this and he agreed, right? He explained to me that there was someone else that told him to put it in there and he said it was irrelevant and he explained everything and he engaged in a constructive conversation. But we both agreed that this was an irrelevant graph. It had no relevancy to Vanguard at all, and it only further helped push Vanguard to be seen as something suspicious. Because when you oversell a good product, people become suspicious. And that's what Necrit should have done here. He should have questioned this graph. He should have been like, why is this in here? It doesn't have any relevancy at all. Or, better, just don't show it at all. So the question is, why did he even show it? Well, unfortunately, he's too busy minding his own interest. And again, I apologize to Mirage of Penguins for having to use him here to point this example, where the example is that Necrit is a show, and his only interest is and will always be to maintain a healthy relationship with Riot, regardless of what it means for you. And the problem with this is that everyone will make mistakes. And one of the biggest examples of this, which I've heavily criticized Riot for in the past, is victim rights. For the longest time, Riot believed that no one should know what kind of punishment abusers received. However, it's been long recognized in normal society that victims should be informed of sentences for closure, safety, and justice, right? This is how we make sure that we have a good environment in society and that people will feel justified, right? That is why we have a justice system. But for the longest time, Riot believed they could do better. However, again, it's been long proven that it's not been right. However, now they have turned around and decided that it's a good idea that people should be informed on who is punished. And that is good. But the point of all of this, to conclude, is it's how important it is to receive and be able to interact with criticism. And in Necrit's case, his way of dealing with criticism is to just block you. However, in his ways of acting better, he does nothing to uphold the standards which he wishes to have. Just like in my example, in my video, I heavily discourage the idea of sexism or racism or anything else, but he will willingly allow people to be abused or harassed in his own comment section here, where I don't mind if people criticize me. I have no problem with that, and I respond to all of them. But it is important that if you want to present yourself as some higher being, that you try and uphold the standard which you aim to hold others of. And if you were to ask me if I think I'm someone that acts properly all the time and I don't accuse anyone of anything or I create hyperboles, absolutely not. I will certainly over-exaggerate things at times, but my past video has not been an over-exaggeration. This video is not an over-exaggeration, and I'm clarifying that and specifying. But it's important to understand the difference. And that is what you do with the criticism that you receive and what you do with it. And in Necrit's case, it is very obvious that again, his own interest lays with himself and he has no care for anything else, as once again, any criticism will be removed. And again, I think criticism is good. I recognize that there is bad criticism and I heavily discourage that in a serious context. I don't think personal attacks are okay, but I think if a person were to do something bad, that they should be able to be criticized for it. And if they choose to do nothing with it, or if the consequence or actions that they've done is bad enough, then of course they should be condemned. And quickly, one thing I want to address, as I know people want to bring this up, is me calling Faker a disgusting animal. Do I think he's a disgusting animal? No, it's a hyperbole. But what I do think is that he has been part of pushing an expensive product, which is part of exploiting a vulnerable audience. Now, I know people have brought up the fact that he has spoke up against it, but he definitely could have done something against it. And that is my point. The reason why he didn't do that could possibly be because he's not someone that likes to speak up. And is that okay? Is that person that should really be like in this kind of position? That is a question of its own, right? Like if so, he like then Fake is being exploited. But it should such a powerful person be able to be in this kind of position if they're incapable of like making decisions for themselves because they are feeling pressured by other sources and they are incapable of standing up for themselves? That is a question of its own, right? But it's definitely agreeable by anyone that Faker definitely could have done something about it. And I definitely don't think he's a disgusting animal, but I do think it's right to question his role and ability of doing something. So that's how I'll conclude this video. Have a good night, evening, whichever one fits. And yeah, take care. Peace.